but we want to make sure that now she's doing it for about 15 to 20 minutes. After 6 to 8 weeks, I would like to introduce some swimming. This is when I don't want her to necessarily go to like a jazzer class or anything like that, jazz aerobics or whatever they call them at the YMCA, but I want her to just physically get in the water and feel that resistance against her body and how that feels, to be able to establish, just some sort of resistance, nothing too much. We want to still make sure we're always checking in on her. Her RP is staying between, 8 to 11 right now. I don't even want to, probably wouldn't even do 11. I'd probably do like 8 to 10. 6 is no exertion, so we want to make sure she is doing something. But this is going to complete her 8 weeks, and then we would increase her to be at 3 times a week for 30 minutes of walking and 1 class of about 20 minutes of swimming. This allows for the neural adaptations to begin, and that way she's going to have those proprioceptions back up now. Her flexibility is going to be increased. She's going to be doing stretching every single morning and after every single exercises. So injury prevention has now been also increased. So from the 8 to 10 weeks, I want to introduce that yoga class. We're going to go ahead and do 1 yoga class for 30 minutes a day, and she's going to now transition into possibly walking around the block. I would like her to be doing this every other day for 15 minutes so that it doesn't seem like it's too hard for her to do and she can adhere to the program. We want to make sure that it's a lifestyle change, not just us telling her what to do, because otherwise she's just going to revert back to all of her old ways. After that, I would like to include changing out one of those walking sessions for possibly just another yoga class. This will put her at about 50 minutes a week total, with 3 sessions of 15 minutes and then another yoga class for about 15 minutes, so a little bit over 50 minutes. But we're getting to that point where she's getting closer to the requirement of physical activity needed for that age population. Then after about the halfway mark for her program, I would like her to minimize the amount of times that she works out, but increase that time frame. That way it's gonna, I believe, make her adhere a little bit more. It's going to be less times a week, but a little bit longer, so she's going to feel like she's working out less, but ideally it'll be just like a mind trick. At this point, I would like her to be swimming one day, doing a yoga class one day, and then doing a cardio exercise one day. If walking around the block gets kind of bored for her, I'd like her to try maybe the elliptical, even the cycloergometer, to ensure that those joints aren't being exasperated too much, which is what the swimming is going to help with. And then also just ensure that she has breaks, things like that. We're not doing anything crazy, like HIIT training. Of course, we're keeping everything low intensity to ensure that she is going to be okay and that heart stays healthy and doesn't get bad. For the 5th month, I would like her to increase to 4 times a week, but only 20 minutes at a time. This is going to help her to, where is that going with that? Oh, I'm sorry, 4 times a week at 20 minutes at a time. Now I would like to introduce the Tai Chi a little bit. Although this isn't intense, I would really like her to implement this now that she's had a few yoga sessions. She's been able to, understand her body in time and space. She's not going to exasperate too much. With Tai Chi, it's strictly just to benefit her neuromotor, her stability, her balance, things like that. These are just going to be small motions, small movements when it comes to Tai Chi, things like even standing on one foot. After that, in the next few weeks, I'd like to implement some standing on some foam. We used to do that in cheerleading for people that were actually for the handicapped. We were trying to just increase their neuromotors. That's something that we did. I think that it would be beneficial for Josie here as well, just to increase those motor skills, and then on top of that, the flexibility will be included in that as well. As far as the final month, I would really like to possibly start reaching the RPE scale of like 12 to 13. I want to, still not moderate, still not anything intense, but we want to make sure that we still are progressing. We want to make sure that she's not just becoming, just used to what her routine is. After we do that, I would like to include some variety, and then include possibly maybe like a light class that is going to be very like cardio, or that way she's not sick of walking. Or if she's got the dog, take the dog to the park with the kids, walk the kids around the block, grandchildren, anything like that. We want to make sure that we're having a lot of variety for her. As far as baseline testing, I would like them done every 3 weeks, just to give us a little bit of a different perspective on that type of progression, and ensure that our program is following the way that it should. After she completes that last month, ideally moving forward after the 6 months, I would like her to actually start some moderate type of exercises where that RP scale kind of pushes a little bit, 13 to 14 possibly. Here she could even do the elliptical, increase the speed. She can do the cycle ergometer again if her joints are kind of hurting her one day, depending on what's going on. She can definitely do that. If not, she can even do things like resist a swimming class, but just go tread some water, or try to, retrieve some weights from the shallow end. That's not her going underwater or anything like that, but just seeing if she can get her toes around it, bring it up to herself. That's going to not only do the neuromotor, but it's also going to include that flexibility and that resistance of the water and so forth. So just things moving forward, making sure that we are teaching her how to ensure her nutrition's there too, because the only way to increase cardiovascular fitness, functionality, strength, and flexibility is still going to all be combated together along with a really good diet. My pattern for progression is, like I was saying, all is going to be low. We're going to start with almost no exertion for the first month to 2 months. Then we're going to go to the lower end of the RPE scale, where we're keeping it at like a 9, 8, 9, and then finally we're going to finish it off with like a 10 or 11. Time frame, like I said, we're going to modify it a little bit. I really don't want her going over 60 minutes a session by any means. We want to make sure that we keep that below, like, ideally I'd like to do 100 minutes a week, depending on however she feels comfortable, what her range of motion is, how her rheumatoid arthritis is affecting her range of motion at that time. Flexibility, however, is going to have to be every single day. That is just going to, it has so many benefits for her at that age that it's just going to be the best way to do that. Again, just waking up, doing a small stretch, and then stretching after every single exercise. As far as the volume, like I said, 2 times the very first 2 weeks. We just want to get her moving. We're going to increase to 3 times a week for the 4 weeks, and then 6 to 8 weeks. We're still going to do 3 weeks, but we're going to just modify them a little bit. After we're at the 10-week mark, we're going to do like 10 to 16-ish weeks. We want to make sure that we are doing just about 60 minutes a week. And then after that, I want to also make sure that we are implementing that Tai Chi, the yoga, the resistance of water, and also cardio, all of those things. Finally, ultimately, I'd like her to do 4 sessions a week, 2 of cardio, 1 of yoga, and then 1 of Tai Chi. Ultimately, towards the end, 15 of each one. I think that would be perfect for her and her pattern of progression. Volume-wise, when it comes to the Mets, she is going to be doing low intensity. I think if anything, we want to just make sure we're keeping it somewhere under 800 Mets a week, because that is going to, 800 Mets a session. We don't ever want to go over that, because that's starting to reach that moderate range. If we can keep it up at about 400 Mets per session, we'll keep it at about 1,000 kcals per week, and that's just about right for someone that's 65 years old. You don't want to go over that by any means too much. At this point, we'll have reached our goal for increasing her cardiovascular fitness. We want to also increase her flexibility, strength, and overall functionality. All of the tests will be performed, like I said, every 3 weeks to make sure that we're staying on the right place. She's going to have to closely monitor her heart rate, blood pressure, and blood glucose. I also was going to recommend, it's crazy to think about, but just some good shoes, especially for her joints. If she decides to do any type of weights, she needs to do absolutely only 1 pound and in her hands if she's walking. That would be another way to implement some resistance. I'm just going to show you some different types of bike. The bike that we're going to use is going to be a cycle ergometer. We were going to do no resistance for now because she's just learning. She's going to want to make sure to adjust the level of her seat to make comfortable and to be able to reach the pedals, but not to strain to reach them. She's going to have to be able to hold on, so we're going to make sure it might be able to move and so forth. We want to make sure that it's all adjustable. After that, we want to go ahead and move over to the treadmill. Ideally, I'd like to do an elliptical. However, if we do the treadmill, we're going to do absolutely no incline, so we're going to stay down below that. She's going to be able to learn all the little different buttons and so forth, and we're going to make sure that she's only keeping it under 3 miles per hour, most definitely, to ensure the low intensity. And then after that, we can include some step-ups I was thinking for any of her cardio classes, if she wanted to do something of low intensity, step ups are going to be something that are going to be good for her. We're going to want to keep it under 3 inches, nothing crazy, because we don't want her to over exasperate herself and so forth. Same like I was saying, arm circles and things like that are going to have to be up around the up by the head, right by her ears, and all the way around by her body to actually improve that range of motion. Same thing with her legs. She's going to want to point her toes completely and just be able to move her leg around in a circle. Small circles are going to be best at first. She can always get into bigger circles once that range of motion is established and she's feeling more comfortable with her exercises. As far as stretching, we're going to want to do just light stretches across the body with each arm and then up over the shoulder if possible to kind of open up that chest cavity, and then also stretch those back muscles, the lats and the dorsi and so forth. As far as her straddle, we don't know her range of motion. We don't want her to exasperate too much. So just bending over, reaching a little bit with her legs straight out is going to just help her out a lot with that. As far as walking, we want to make sure that her gait improves as well, because otherwise it's not going to be of any type of increase for her health. So just make sure that she's doing it right. Make sure that we're evaluating that over and over again, making sure that she's not doing too much, and we want to always be checking in with her. As far as the final rationale for the program in general, we just want to ensure that we are keeping a close monitor on her insulin, glucose, and so forth. We want to make sure that her heart is staying healthy. We want to ensure that that body or visceral fat is going to move away from where the areas of the abdomen where it is at most risk. And then on top of that, we want to ensure that she's building that strength. We want to make sure that she is using that glycogen within her body so that it combats all other factors. And once we start using those muscles that she isn't used to using, it's going to just all naturally kind of do that within her body over some time. And then, like I said, just do healthy lifestyle changes. We want to make sure she's eating better, not making poor life choices, and overall, we'll have a healthy Josie.